Good evening. Oh, that's a little much. Good evening. My name is Walter Bueller. I am the, acting or substitute chairman for tonight's Board of Adjustments meeting. It is now 5:34. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and present are me, my brother Dewing, Bill Squires, Ms. Hobke, and Ms. Ackerley, constituting a quorum. Which would be our first order of business. Our second order of business is to consider the approval of the meeting minutes from the October 23rd, 2017 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
Discussion or question, if I may. Since I was an active member of the previous Board of Adjustment meeting that these minutes are written on, is something where it's appropriate to abstain from that? Will that impact that or the outcome?
I have abstained in the past.
Okay.
So, if I wasn't at a meeting.
Just asking the
I
question.
didn't hear his comment.
Say again, please.
I did not hear his comment.
Brother Dooling's comment?
Oh, I just told him that I have abstained in the past when I wasn't here.
Okay.
That leaves 3, so that's plenty.
Fine. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
No, my only, I know attending some city council meetings, there's always been a lot of discussion about accuracy of minutes and so on and so forth. I assume Ms. Thelen prepared these? And they're
Yes, sir.
They're excellent, accurate, and everything's to the point, and there's nothing to discuss as far as I'm concerned.
Do I have a motion to, for a vote? Closed discussion? Okay. All in favor? Or do I have a motion? To...
No, there was a motion. Just call the question.
Okay, call the question.
Aye?
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, 1 abstention, 2 abstentions. With 3 votes in favor, the motion passes. The minutes will be approved.
Before we proceed, Mr. Chairman, I have just a question, a point of order, I suppose, to the city manager. In a previous life, when I was on this board, it was required to have a supermajority of 4 votes. I asked that question at the last meeting, and I didn't exactly get a definitive answer. So I was wondering if Mr. Vanderwall could tell me that.
Approve minutes. This mic is really hot, so I'll try not to make it feedback. You're correct, Brother Dewing. So I'm not sure whether that applies just to approval of minutes or if that's for actual variances, approving variances, but we can ask our attorney about that.
Well, no, it was for variances, but I asked the question, and I believe the chairman at that time didn't know the answer, and I just wanted to follow up on that.
Yeah, I believe it's in the zoning ordinance. I can go find chapter and verse for you, but since you're essentially overruling the zoning code, you're granting a variance to the zoning code, it does require a supermajority of the Board of Adjustments.
And that would be 4 votes, is that right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Moving on to our third order, would be to conduct a public hearing and consider action on an application from Eric and Dana Runge, owners of 230 Foxhall Lane, Castle Hills, Texas, legally described as County Block 5778, Block 6, lot part of 4, I should know what ARB means, 4A, requesting a variance from section 50-36 F4, except for an attached garage, which can be in the side yard. An ABSU shall be in the backyard and at least 75 feet from the front property line. The first order would be to open a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public which wishes to speak on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, I think they need to make a presentation first.
Would Mr. or Ms. Runge, the applicants, like to make a presentation? Okay.
Thank you all for your time tonight. Appreciate it. My name's Eric Rung. My wife Dana, and my son Lawson are here to talk about our new home site on 230 Foxhall Lane. We appreciate y'all taking the time out of your busy schedules to meet with us and make it happen. Is that better? Sorry. All right, I'll start over. Thank you guys for your time tonight. We appreciate it. I'm joined by my wife Dana, my son Lawson. We're excited and appreciate you taking time of your busy schedules for us to visit with you and talk about our new home site. So this is our new home site, 230 Foxhall Lane. Our request is in variance of the current ABSU guidelines. Currently, the ABSU guidelines require 75 feet from the curb and be in the backyard. Our request is to have two separate detached ABSUs from our home that are 100 feet and 115 feet from the curb respectively. So we meet one part of the requirement. We're asking for the variance to the backyard. And from the time that we applied, we have made an adjustment to save more trees than what your original handouts were. The handouts showed, I believe, 74 feet from the curb, if I remember correctly. But that would require us to take out several trees that we want to save. So we've made an adjustment and moved the home back and moved and flipped the casitas to try to create a cohesive unit to where we're only removing 2 trees instead of 9. So hopefully you guys will like the changes we've made.
Could I didn't hear what you said. You said you did something to the casitas? What?
We moved them back and adjusted from one side to the other side. We flipped one from one side to the other. It shouldn't matter, but we moved it back 35 feet.
So what's up there is not the same as these drawings?
No, sir. It's been a moving target to try to save as many trees as possible. And the further we get into it, the better we think we've got a plan for y'all.
Pardon me, for a second. There were some drawings that were left on the dais. Do the drawings on the dais reflect your current plans or not?
No, I can show you what I've got in a handout if you want to pass it around. It gives you a better idea. I can skip to that slide.
Okay.
Yes, it's about 4 slides up, but if you look on the screen now,
Okay.
it gives you a rendering of what the modification was. Your rendering shows the casitas lined up at approximately 74 feet. If I could grab my notes, I can confirm that for you.
It was 78 feet, I believe.
It was 78.
78 feet, sorry. So now we're at 100 feet and 110 feet. And if you see in this picture, the Foxhall Lane is 100 feet. We're going to have a winding driveway to avoid any root damage or harm to the trees, also considering drainage in the plan. And then the first one on the left-hand side on the lower part of your screen is a garage. And then the one on the high part is a casita. So that's the plan now. This mitigated 7 more trees from having to be tore out of our lot.
Eric, and that includes those trees up near what you call the casita, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
it actually gives a little more tree coverage looking from the road towards the
And I
homestead.
have a picture of that too. So if I could back up a little bit and kind of get back on track and tell you where we're going. So support for request, it's kind of hard to see on the slide, but that's where our home will be. And that's a 3D rendering of placing the casitas on the lot. So you can see that from the street, it looks like one cohesive unit. It doesn't look like detached structures. This will allow us to save, like I said, more trees. There's a significant amount of drainage and runoff off of Foxhall Lane on our current lot, and our goal is to mitigate the impact on our neighbors and, you know, keep the drainage working the way it is naturally flowing. So by doing the casitas in this configuration also helps alleviate that concern. Creates more privacy, aesthetic beauty, and there's several homes on our street that have detached structures in the front yard. So this is slide 2. As you can see, our lot is significantly more narrow than some of our surrounding neighbors. Our lot is over an acre, but it's only 98 feet wide versus some of the surrounding properties in what is more common in the city of Castle Hills at half-acre lots. They're wider than they are deep. So that is the other reason for our request. And you can see that our lot is highlighted in orange or red on the Bexar County map to give you a scale idea for our lot compared to others in the area. This is the site plan that we modified from the original submittal. And again, our goal is to make it look like the trees grew around the home and reduce the impact as much as we possibly can. The attraction of the lot is the trees. We want to be stewards of the land and the area and take care of it to fit in best that we can with the existing beautiful homes around us. We really don't want to make a big impact as much as we can. The whole back half of our lot is completely treed. So if we move our home back any further or put the casitas in the back of the home, we would have significant tree removal in the 20 to 30 tree range per casita, or, you know, 40 to 50 if our home moves back any further. So we're trying to make the best scenario possible for all parties involved. This is, again, a 3D rendering of what our home will look like on the home site. So if you were to fly in a helicopter over our home site, you can see that the only open area where old existing home, I guess used to be, I can see some construction material from the past there. We're going to set it in the same spot that the original homestead was. So again, we're trying to make it work best we can without minimal impact.
Can I ask a question right there?
Sure.
It looks like there's two, one's darker and the other's lighter in color. Which one was the old home plot?
The old home plot is the larger structure in the back where our house is. So where the arrow comes down on the left of that is our actual home. And then the two detached structures are staggered in such a way that we save the trees around it.
There's no home on there, right?
No home on it currently.
I'm just asking you those two spots. One is dark and one is light.
Pardon?
Right-hand
Oh.
side there of the picture, center picture.
So
Yeah.
right here,
Arrow points
which
to
one
that.
are you pointing to, sir?
Well,
I can't tell which one's darker or lighter from this angle.
well, maybe it's the angle I'm looking at it, but the lower one seems to be lighter
Right here?
and the upper one seems to be darker in color. All I'm asking is which one was the previous home site?
The previous home site was where the actual house is, the larger blob.
I don't see any house there. Does that?
This is the roof. If you're looking down
Yes.
from the top, there's no house on the site currently. This is if
Well,
I
then
were to
don't
have-
tell me that's where the house is. I want to know what that is currently,
That is currently an open area.
and which one was the previous home plot. All of that?
All of that area, yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Except for the two detached structures.
Brother Dooling, do you see gray, irregular patch, a light off-white smooth patch, and two blue patches? My understanding is,
In the main dark gray, I guess, up here, is where the original homestead site was.
Where the arrow comes down.
Where the arrow comes down just left of that.
And what was the lighter part down below?
The lighter part is my driveway.
Superimposes over the vacant land, and with his structures, proposed structures built into it.
Oh, so that upper part where the arrow comes down, that's like a drawing or something to represent where the home is.
Correct. This is a 3D rendering. This is a 3D rendering of what it'll look like. Oh, I'm sorry, but it's a Google map shot that I superimposed the 3D rendering onto.
Got it.
My fault.
Nope.
So, any other questions on this slide? This is another street view of, we're gonna keep where the existing driveway was and keep the consistent wind to the original driveway. And if you're standing on Foxhall Lane walking your dog or riding bikes or whatever you're doing, this is what you will see from the street. And again, is it Brother Doolin? That's a 3D rendering in the open area of my existing home site. So it's not truly there yet, and I have a close-up. Garage is on the left, the casita's on the right, and the home's behind it. Actually, if I just go over here, skip a couple slides, you guys will have a better idea of what we're trying to do. So that's what it looks like if there's no trees. That's our home. This is how it looks from an aerial perspective with the three structures. And again, the goal is there's a grove of oaks right here where the dot is flashing that we're trying to save. That's the main consideration. And then there's another grove of trees between these two that I'd like to save if possible. And then up in front of this casita, there's another set of trees. This is completely U-shaped and trees on the right-hand side as well. So I'm trying to wind it in and do a jigsaw puzzle, if you will.
Should it matter to the city manager? From sitting over here, that red dot is not visible.
It's just flashing. It's not holding very steady. I'm sorry.
Well, it's
I
not
got a pretty
visible
good
at all.
feel for it from what he showed on the previous slides, but you can, if you want to, Eric, use the mouse on the laptop to kind of indicate where the trees are.
Ah, there you are.
So right here.
There it is, right in the garage, there it is.
So the main consideration is nice grove of oak trees right here. Out of the casita. Front side of that garage. And two or three directly between the two structures with a significant arm of an oak. Trying to not have to cut even a tree that shouldn't have.
Could you hold, well, either that one or the one before? Oh, now I see it. So there's really two garages. One is in the house, and this other one would be detached. Okay, because I kept seeing a door to a room.
Yeah, I
And
apologize.
I said, if it's detached, where's that door go to?
Well, we've modified it since the plan there, and again, because we could save, I think, 7 to 9 trees by doing this change. We have lost a lot of sleep on this in trying to make it right and good for everybody. And this will make it a lot easier for me to pull my large truck into the garage without having to take trees out. So that was the goal. I couldn't fit it in that current garage configuration without having to take oaks out. Yes, ma'am.
The left detached garage looks like there's a lot more building there than just the space behind the garage doors.
Yes, ma'am.
The plan there.
I have a lot of toys, and my wife doesn't like all my mess in her garage. She's kind of a neat freak and OCD type of person, and she's a sweetheart, but for the sake of our marriage, I've always had a section of my garage, so I thought it'd be nice to actually have my own garage to where she doesn't really have to go in it if she doesn't want to.
I understand,
So-
thank you.
But following up on that question, on the, well, this is page 2 of 5 of your drawings. It shows what I'm taking to be your garage. It says detached garage.
Yes, sir.
And it looks like there's just one garage door, which is a 10 by 8. Is that right?
Right.
And then there's a room with a door that I don't see the door, but I guess it's there somewhere.
Well, the door's on the back side now, facing the house, so where the garage and the windows on the main home garage are, there's a door on the back side of the gable. I don't know if this will work, but
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just
it's
saying,
over here, because I changed,
so what we're looking at, what we've prepared here is really not the same as what,
it's the exact same size, it's just I moved the garage location to where the existing 2.8 door is, the single door is. It's on that opposite wall. Can I show you on your plan?
it would sure be helpful, because quite frankly, it's very confusing. Sure. Have at it.
Here. In the picture on the wall, our one-car garage is now entering here, and then I have a door to the home here. So you drive your truck in here and park my truck, and then I have all my tools and fun toys and stuff over here now. But on there, there's a wall. Yes, sir. So this wall's here. No, that wall is not there. We deleted that wall. It made no sense, so. And again, I mean, I didn't know we were doing a plan review, so I didn't have them finalized. But I'm working through that still.
I think it's a requirement that, because otherwise we don't, that's fine, now I'm.
Here's your pencil back. Thank you, sir. Any further questions?
Chairman Bueller, as I understand it, this is this is the information for the public hearing, is that correct? We'll have the public hearing next, and then
Well-
we'll open up to our questions, is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Were there any other questions for the, no, barring that, open up for a public hearing. Is there anyone here from, who would like to speak? You approach the podium and state your name and your address.
My name is Tom Hurst, and my wife Sally and I live at 231 Vauxhall Lane, which, as you can tell from the address, is directly across the street. I mean directly. When I walk out our front door, I see the vacant lot there now. Excuse me. I met Eric probably about 30 days ago the first time. Seemed like a real nice guy and everything, and my wife's met his family and had a lot of good things to say. So I was very curious to see what kind of house would be built, because we redid our house about 8 to 10 years ago, and I'm very much into making the house fit with the neighborhood and the environment, feng shui, whatever you want to call it. But you don't really just come out and ask somebody, say, hey, what are y'all planning on doing here? You know, I'm a busybody, but I'm not quite that much. And so probably about 30 days ago, Jackie Ackley, as a member of the board, procured the schematics, the plans, the elevation, the blueprint. And she and her husband were walking a lot and having a first-hand look and everything. And I saw her, and we visited out on the porch, and I said, would it be okay if I saw the plans? And I just got to tell you, I was completely blown away when you see the elevation and how this house is going to look on the lot, and just the way it fits with the lot, and all the foresight that's gone into preserving the trees. All the trees have little ID tags on them, so you can tell exactly where the trees are, what their location is, and things like this. So I just think it's so obvious that although there are some technicalities by these maybe separate garage or house or whatever, by being 100, 140 feet back from the road, I don't think that's, to me, that's not a problem. And I tell you what, this is something where every time I look out my front window and every time I go out my front door, I would have to see. And if I had any qualms or any questions, I would say so. Right now, they're building a house at Hibiscus and West Avenue that is a beautiful house, but it looks like it belongs out in the Dominion or something. I mean, it's right on the street. It's a big, what I would call a McMansion, and that's a fine house, and somebody's going to love it and everything, but that is not the kind of house that belongs on Foxhall Lane. So I know I'm taking way too much time. What I'm just trying to say is I think it's going to be a beautiful house, and I sure hope that y'all will see past some of the technicalities and allow it to be built there. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else signed up to speak or present? Seeing none. How many cards were sent out to the neighbors, et cetera?
Seven.
Was there any response? If there's no objection, we'll close the public hearing and open up for member discussion.
I didn't catch the gentleman who lives across the street, his name exactly, but I really concur with what he says, although it's kind of hard with the Google thing to really get, and I didn't have time to go over there, but I know the area well, so I'm pretty familiar with it. I mean, I really don't have a problem with it, but really the garage, you know, it's really not an ABSU. It may be by definition, but I mean, but for those two trees, you could just join them together, her garage and your garage, right? So they're just right there. But by doing what you're doing, you're having that bit of trees in between the buildings, so I think that's a good thing. And the casita, the only concern I have, and I realize if it were attached to the house, it would be servants' quarters inside a house. Being detached, it kind of raises that specter of a rental property or something like that. So it's a concern of mine but it could be in the backyard, and if the neighbor doesn't care if it's in the front yard, you know, I don't know. But
It doesn't have a full kitchen, if that makes you feel better. It just has a sink,
on the, oh, okay.
a fridge, a mini fridge.
I guess on the drawing, it looked like more, but that's all right. If it doesn't, that's fine.
Yeah, our goal is just, you know, a place for our parents to come visit, you know, and not go too crazy with his Xbox and my movies and stuff.
And not stay too long.
Exactly. So there's no oven or anything like that in the space.
And well, at any rate, okay. But the elevation, I think, is spectacular, and
Thank you.
it certainly fits, and I agree that I think Foxhall, the nestling in that oak grove and being happy with a curbless country lane, I mean, that's the way that's what it's there for. So, I mean, I think that part's fine. I also understand, because we've had the adjoining property here before, that you can't move really too further back because of the flooding issue.
Yes, sir.
Seems like a fair space, but come the next 500-year flood, it could be lapping up to your door, so.
I don't want to ask for a variance to go on stilts.
Yeah, so, yeah, I understand that, and I appreciate you moving it back, because I was concerned with the original drawing. I was trying to count the number of trees, and I couldn't quite make it out, but it seemed to me a lot, but by moving it back, if that accomplishes that, I think that's fine, and further back from the road, the better. I mean, it all sounds good to me, and
Thank you.
I know there are some houses in San Antonio that have detached garages that got attached by little flimsy doodads coming across. And I mean, I think this is a much more honest approach to it. It's clearly 3 separate buildings.
Thank you.
Looks fine to me. I have no problem. And I do think the other thing that's important is that, which sometimes is neglected to be discussed in these presentations, that the requirement is that the it has to be based on a request can be granted if there is, can only be granted if there is something inherent in the land. And I believe that to be true in this case because of the narrow, the elongated size of the lot makes it different, and you have to be more stretched out than spread. So, I mean, I think it does fit within the definition of a valid request because of the land.
Much appreciated.
Oh, I had one other question. You said you currently live at 18711 Beardsley Avenue, Cove.
Yes, sir.
I just want to know where you're coming from.
Well, we just bought that as an interim. We didn't realize how long the process would be with Castle Hills. So our home sold quicker than we expected. We're actually coming from the estates at Canyon Springs. So if you play golf, the 6th fairway, the split fairway hole, we were kind of up on the hill overlooking it. And we were there a long time.
Is that in San Antonio? Or?
Yes, sir, but closer to Stone Oak. So we're excited to be back in the
Okay,
city.
so you're coming from Stone Oak to Castle Hills. Great.
Yes, sir.
That's all I need to know.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Too much explanation.
Schwartz?
Thank you, Chairman. Real quick, this is my first rodeo at being on Board of Adjustments, so I'll try to keep my questions in bounds, so I apologize in advance if I don't.
Me too.
Okay. Okay. What I want to make sure is being in this position, our purview in this regard, we don't care about trees. We're only looking at the setbacks and the fact that these accessory structures are in front of the living main house versus behind the main house. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so the only thing we are voting on here today is to allow these accessory structures to be in front of the house, correct?
Correct. Unfortunately, for the rungs, they will need to submit an application this week for ARC for tree removal. And so we'll be seeing them again this week, and they will be on your January agenda.
Okay. And then in regards to,
ARCs.
we kind of got into a mini plan review here. That is something that the city is still involved in as far as any modifications to the existing plan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. In regards to these structures being in front, your original design, and I can see on the garage, but the casita and I think I maybe understand this anyways, I'm just going to ask, why did you put them in front of the house versus in the rear, or not try to tie them together?
It really was all about the trees and drainage.
Okay.
In the back, it starts to fall off pretty quick towards the floodplain. And our long-term goal is to get a pool, but we're not sure if we can do that yet. So if I put the casita in the one last little open space where we were hoping to put a pool, I'd have to nuke about 30 trees to fit the casita and a pool back there, and that was not what we wanted. We wanted to feel like we're in the forest.
So even though it's not part of this, the way you're setting this up is you'll be able to put the pool in without hopefully removing a lot more trees, is that the?
Hopefully none.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay, wonderful to hear. Thank you for sharing that. They're allowed 3 accessory structures, is that correct? 2. Okay, 2. Okay, so this,
Yes, 2. If they want to go for any more, like if they want to build the pool doesn't count, but if they wanted to put a cabana or something out with the pool, they would have to come back to the Board of Adjustment for another variance for a 3rd. Sorry about that.
okay, great, thank you. And then Brother Dooling did hit on this, but a lot of people put breezeways in, and I believe that counts to tie those structures together. Why did you not choose to do that?
2 reasons. It creates a weak joint in the foundation, and with the amount of water that's coming down this particular lot, I was very concerned with creating a dam. So that's where the original plan was, is I can feed the water around both sides of our home and not extend it further up towards the street any further than it already is. And I really think they look cheesy. I mean, it's really not serving a real function. It's just to get around the code. So I'd rather face y'all and do it right than, put something that I'm not going to be happy with.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And I have no questions. Ms. Hopke?
Thank you.
Ms. Ackerway?
I guess I just have some positive comments. It was a lovely presentation, drawings were beautiful. I do appreciate the across-the-street citizen who spoke, because, of course, they will see daily. I can understand why the garage would not be placed at the back, because that would be so much more concrete, and it's a narrow lot. And placing the casita forward of the house architecturally makes a lovely balance. So when seen from the street, it looks like one house. It's sort of U-shaped, and it's
Thank you.
It's graceful. Brother Dooling did ask my questions about the purpose of the casita, so now I understand about that. And I guess the question about the breezeway is just, if somebody wanted to get around the zoning requirement, all you'd have to do is add that. And so if it would be passed with a breezeway, I think it should be passed without a breezeway. I mean, it's just a lightweight attachment. So I appreciate you saving the trees. I appreciate not putting more concrete drive than required.
Thank you.
To go all the way around the side of the house and get to the back, because that's impervious property. It is an area of high runoff, and these are all good things for our land and for the neighborhood. So I was originally concerned about the first drawing because the setback didn't meet the 20% by ordinance, and it also didn't meet my concept of what this neighborhood looks like when you walk down the street, with just, verdancy and greenery separating the street from the houses and the houses from each other. I commend you for this improvement. I think it's a wonderful solution, both for saving trees, but also for keeping the open, green nature, forested nature of the neighborhood and its appearance, as the rest of us see it from the street.
We really appreciate that. We really want it. We can't wait to live here. We really want it to fit in
So
well.
I'm very much in favor that we should approve this.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a follow-up really question for the
Certainly.
city manager. We had a case, I don't know if you were here, Mr. Van der Walle, but a question about going way back in time and a house that had some, 6 or 7 or 8 different ABSUs. And then the question was, well, where'd they come from? What are they? Will the record reflect that these are ABSUs and not part of just the house?
Yes, it will. They're coming forth with a variance for putting
And I'm not
ABSUs.
thinking of Mr. Runge so much, but a
Next
future
buyer.
owner who may put the cheesy
Yes.
breezeways and then say, oh, no, now it's all attached, now I want two ABSUs in the backyard.
Yes, I guess we'd have to fight that battle if and when it came, but.
But I mean, it'll
yes,
clearly
no,
show
this-
these were granted
These are
as
granted as ABSUs,
ABSUs.
and the variance is for ABSUs in the front of the house
And
versus
only-
behind, so.
Only the house was the footprint of the other drawings. Okay. Thank you, that's all.
Yes, we're good there.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the variance to put the two buildings in the two ABSUs in the front of the house.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calling a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, pass.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
I can't tell you how much this means to my family and I. Thank you.
Welcome to Castle Hills.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You've seen the light.
Final matter of business, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I hear a motion and a second, in discussion? None. Vote, all in favor? Unanimous. Meeting of this Board of Adjustment, or Board of Adjustment be closed at 6:16.